Gas prices across the country fell just in time for Thanksgiving. WAAY 31's Matt Paskowitz spoke with drivers today on how prices at the pump impacted their travel plans. Good afternoon, Matt.
Hey, good afternoon, Marie. Yeah, if you are in need right now to fill up your tank, right now is the perfect time to do it. Across the entire nation, the average price to fuel up your tank is the lowest it's been since early February. We're talking $3.61. Now, I'm actually going to head right behind the camera and actually show you right here at the Wabahoe. We're at the Wabahoe in Hazel Green. Right now, the price, $2.97. And you can see by the crowds right here, they are all getting ready to fill up before Thanksgiving. Now, many people, like I mentioned, are taking advantage right now of these prices, with AAA estimating nearly 55 million people will travel over 50 miles this holiday. However, gas prices are still the highest they have been this time of year in history. One traveler I did speak to today said, no matter what the cost of gas is, it's not going to stop his plans.
I think they're pretty moderate, $3.59 a gallon. You just have to use your discounts wisely and plan your resources. It wasn't bad. I have a plan and it is what it is. I'm not gonna let gas prices keep me home.
Well, many people are also saying right now that this is going to be quite possibly the busiest holiday season since way in the past. They're also saying right now that AAA is estimating that road trips are actually going to go up this year by about 0.2%. However, road trips on car travels, that's actually down still from 2019's pre-pandemic levels, down by 2.5%. Reporting live in Hazel Green, I'm Matt Paskowitz, WAAY 31 News.
Well, AAA predicts travel this weekend will be the third busiest since 2000. New at 4, one person's in custody accused of making a bomb threat against a business in Morgan County. The sheriff's office says the caller made that threat against the Family Dollar on Highway 67 in Priceville. Authorities searched the building. No threat was found. Happening now, Rainsville police want your help identifying this man. Take a good look at your screen. Authorities say he was involved in a hit and run last week. If you recognize him, call Rainsville police. 2 teens are charged with robbery after a shooting in Huntsville. Police say Dwan Moore and a 16-year-old met the victim at the Anthem Apartments and Cottages on Plummer Road around 8:15 last night to buy an item. Instead, they tried to rob the victim, who was shot in the process. That victim, we're told, is expected to survive. Well, right now, authorities are working to determine a motive behind yet another mass shooting in our country. An employee at a Walmart in Virginia shot and killed 6 people. ABC's Ika Jachi has those latest details.
Walmart employee Kevin Harper says it's impossible to prepare for something like this.
It don't feel fair. I mean, it don't even feel right. Nobody deserved this.
Responded to District 402, 1521 Sam Circle at the Walmart for a gunshot wound.
Today, police confirming the shooter's identity as 31-year-old Andre Bing from Chesapeake. They say he was armed with 1 handgun and several rounds of ammunition. Just after 10 o'clock Tuesday night, the first 911 calls came from inside this Chesapeake, Virginia Walmart. By 11:20 p.m., police declared the scene safe with no risk to the general public. But inside, carnage and chaos.
6 victims have died. 4 victims are in area hospitals, and the suspect is dead from what we believe was a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Police confirming the shooting started inside the break room of the store, and the shooter was an employee. Of the 7 people who were killed, 3, including the shooter, were found dead in the break room. 1 victim was found dead towards the front of the store, and 3 other people were transported to hospitals but later died.
These are people in our community whose lives were cut short the day before Thanksgiving. It's heartbreaking.
Harper says he was in that break room just moments before the shooting started. He says he walked out not long before the gunshots began, hid in a clothes rack, eventually escaping through another exit.
It felt like forever getting out that store.
The store was open to customers when it started. Breonna Tyler was also in that break room.
He just opened fire on everybody in the break room, and it is by the grace of God that a bullet missed me.
Now, the store will remain closed for the next few days until law enforcement is finished processing the scene. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Chesapeake, Virginia.
Well, for the first time, the suspect in the Colorado Springs mass shooting appeared before a judge via jail video. Anderson Aldrich is charged with murdering 5 people at an LGBTQ club over the weekend. He's been ordered held without bail. The suspect was known to law enforcement, including surrendering to police after an alleged bomb threat. Now, that case was dismissed, and the suspect's records were sealed after the family refused to press charges, thus enabling him to legally purchase an AR-style weapon. Well, right now, new details on multiple health concerns across our country. Americans are dealing with 3 viruses circulating at the same time: COVID, the flu, and RSV. Health leaders urge all eligible people to take action to help keep themselves and others healthy during the winter months.
My recommendation to America's families, I'll tell you what we've done in our family with our children, is made sure that they have gotten vaccinated against those 2, COVID and flu.
Now, Alabama health officials also urge you to keep the flu top of mind this Thanksgiving. According to the state health department, 11 people have died from the flu so far this season, including 2 children. WAAY 31's Matt Kroschel joins us live in Huntsville this afternoon after talking with health officials about the recent flu outbreak. Matt.
And Marie, this flu season hit early, it hit hard, and it is spreading here in Alabama and now across the country as people head out for this Thanksgiving holiday. They may be putting some of the most vulnerable categories of possible patients at risk here. I checked in with the Alabama Department of Public Health. They say there's actually more people in the hospital with complications from influenza right now than COVID-19. And it's these vulnerable groups that include infants and elderly people, folks with other health issues who are most at risk.
Widespread flu activity in all the public health districts. This is a very aggressive and very early season that we've seen. Typically, we see the peak of activity in the January, February range. Right now, we haven't seen this early in this high of activity since the 2009 H1N1 flu pandemic.
Doctors say, we know the drill here by dealing with the pandemic for the last couple of years. Good hygiene, wear a mask if you're around a lot of other folks. And if you haven't been vaccinated for the flu, you should still do that because this current vaccine seems to be working pretty well against the current strain of flu this season. Reporting live in Huntsville, Matt Kroschel, WAAY 31 News.
Be sure to wash those hands. Well, some researchers are sounding the alarm about measles now. A new study shows fewer people are getting vaccinated against the disease. The CDC says vaccination rates around the world improved since the start of the century, but the pandemic set efforts back. Nearly 25 million infants did not receive their first dose of the vaccine last year. NASA is investigating what caused teams to lose communication with the Orion spacecraft. The space agency says it lost data to and from Orion for 47 minutes while reconfiguring the communication link between the spacecraft and Deep Space Network overnight. This comes as Orion is set to break the record for the farthest distance traveled from Earth by a human-rated spacecraft Saturday morning. Orion will travel about 57,000 miles beyond the moon, past the record distance from Earth set by Apollo 13 at 248,655 miles. Time now 4:10. What do solar arrays, dwarf tomato seeds, and pumpkin pie have in common? Well, they're all part of the payload for SpaceX's 26th commercial resupply mission, set to launch this weekend. The Dragon spacecraft was first slated to launch to the ISS yesterday from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, but bad weather there forced it to be scrubbed. It's now set to blast off Saturday afternoon. The holiday shopping season now underway. In just a few minutes, we dive into what you can expect for Black Friday and where you could score some major deals. And a new wave of attacks in Ukraine as war rages on. Missile strikes claiming lives without age taken into account.
Not quite as cold tonight. Lows only down into the 40s, but I'm tracking a mix of sun and clouds for Thanksgiving and some rain tomorrow night.
Our Way 31 Hero Salute goes to Vietnam veteran Ray Mulkey. Ray was drafted in 1966, attended officer candidate school, trained to become a helicopter pilot, and went on to serve our country for 25 years. He retired in 1991. Now, this photo is from his tour of duty in South Korea in 1978, leading his soldiers on a 12-mile march. From all of us here at Way 31, thank you, Ray Mulkey, for your service to our country. Time now 4:15. New at 4, a new wave of Russian missiles is targeting critical infrastructure across Ukraine. Families are warned to stay in shelters as air raid warnings remain in place across the country. Officials say a multi-story building was hit near Kyiv. Crews are now working to deal with the aftermath. In southern Ukraine, Russian strikes hit a maternity ward and killed a newborn. Officials say a woman was giving birth when the rockets hit. She and a doctor were rescued from the rubble, but the child died. President Volodymyr Zelensky condemned the attack, saying Russia continues to fight against civilians and civilian targets. New details on the holiday shopping season already underway. ABC's Morgan Norwood takes a look at the forecast for holiday sales this year and where you might be able to find some good deals.
Americans are expected to spend more this holiday season than last year, but high inflation will definitely have an impact.
Shoppers are really fatigued after months and months now of high gas prices and high food prices. And I think that heading into the holidays, they're just not going to spend as big this year.
That inflation fatigue could be a silver lining for consumers looking for good deals.
Retailers know they need to sweeten those deals for these inflation-conscious consumers. And so we're already seeing some of the lowest prices ever on certain items.
Analysts say that because of the pandemic, consumers bought a lot of laptops and home office equipment over the past few years, which could be good news if you're looking for electronics this year.
For shoppers who are in the market for those things, discounts are going to be very, very high.
Experts have some tips for shoppers this season.
My number one tip would be have a plan going into it and do your research.
If you're shopping online, pay attention to promo codes on websites and social media sites to save money. If you're shopping for yourself, try to hold off until after the holidays.
January is when retailers put winter items on sale. It's a great time to score deals, especially on apparel.
And experts say that the shopping season is not just focused on Black Friday or Cyber Monday anymore.
The concept of Black Friday as a day really doesn't exist anymore. It's a season.
Which means consumers will have more time this year to find that perfect gift at a good price.
There will be incredible deals all the way through this holiday season.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
We could be paying more for some products in the future. The Anderson Economic Group calls a potential freight rail strike one of the most disruptive events that can happen to the economy. A new estimate puts the cost at $1 billion in its first week. The Retail Industry Leaders Associations calling on policymakers to intervene to avoid an economic disaster. The 4 rail unions who voted against an agreement with U.S. freight railroads sent a joint strike date of December 9th if no contract deal is reached. Stocks closed higher just ahead of the holiday on Wall Street following the release of the minutes from the Federal Reserve's most recent policy meeting. They showed Fed officials agreed that smaller rate hikes would be likely and would be appropriate soon. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 96 points to close out at 34,194. The Nasdaq gained 111 points. The S&P 500 gained 24 points to finish at 4,027.
Weather coverage you can count on with meteorologist Olga Breeze and the Way 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
I think it's safe to say most of us are transitioning into that relaxed holiday mood, and the view over Lake Guntersville will actually put you in that mood, if not yet already. Some mainly clear skies, high thin clouds, a few passing clouds from time to time, but in all a dry forecast and a mild one at that. Current temperatures for most of us in the low to middle 60s. We have 67 out in Huntsville in the city center right now, but it's going to be a pretty great evening. If you have to get out and take that little stroll, maybe run a few last-minute errands before your celebrations for Thursday, we're in pretty good shape. The Huntsville Tower camera shows that setting sun. Dew points are low, so the air is dry. Winds have really dialed back quite a bit. And these temperatures in the 60s won't last too long. As soon as that sun sinks below the horizon, we're going to see a bit of a chill tonight. So currently about 63 out toward Guntersville, 63 as well for Fayetteville, 65 in Haleyville, but falling temperatures tonight, but dry conditions. First early warning radar network is going to be very quiet as we move on in toward the next few hours. In fact, well for the next 24 hours, but another front is on the way, and you can see it kicking up some rain and showers in portions of East Texas, running across Arkansas and also into Tennessee shortly. And that means that the rain is on its way to us, but we're going to hold off on it for most of your Thanksgiving Day. So it will be cold tonight, but not quite as cold as what we've seen the last few days. We'll stay in the 40s and then dry as we move into most of Thanksgiving Day. But the clouds build in the evening and the rain will develop before midnight on Thanksgiving Day. Then rain moves into not only Thursday night, but Friday as well. And that could put a damper on some of your Friday morning plans. Tonight, 43 degrees, fewer clouds than what we've seen, but we're still going to have fairly comfortable temperatures with those light east winds. For tomorrow, though, rain chances begin to go up. We're giving it 20% for Thursday and Friday, but those scattered showers could be problematic with some of your Friday plans. As for Saturday, 50% rain chance, not washing out the weekend, drier forecast for Sunday. So let's time out some of that rain. Future Radar does a good job here with our European model. By about 7 o'clock on Thanksgiving night, most of us still dry, although overcast. Rain starts to move in from west to east, so those western counties are going to see the rain first. By 11 o'clock at night, I think all of us have the opportunity for a few scattered showers and even some dark greens here, indicating there could be some locally heavy pockets of rain. Then rain is moving out fairly quickly, but if you're an early riser on Friday morning, 5 a.m., we're still seeing some lingering rain. By noontime and beyond, things start to dry out, although we keep the clouds into most of the day on your Friday. As for our extended forecast, it's actually looking pretty good. So a 10% chance of rain begins toward the end of the day. We're going to see the opportunity for some increasing clouds as we move on into tomorrow's forecast, but the 7-day outlook stays mild and dry through Thanksgiving Day.
The rate of abortions down across the U.S. The recent data showing the fall before the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. We have a traffic alert just into our Way 31 newsroom. I-565 eastbound at Research Park is now closed due to a wreck. Huntsville police say a vehicle overturned in the area. This is 565 eastbound closed at Research Park at this time as crews work to clear the scene. We, of course, will pass along any updates as soon as we learn more and as soon as first responders have that road back open. If you're taking a live look now at our nation's capital. Although former Vice President Mike Pence won't talk to the committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot, he may participate in the DOJ's criminal probe. Sources say Pence's team indicated the former VP is open to discussing an agreement for testimony with the Justice Department. The DOJ's request for the former vice president's testimony under oath came before the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith. It's unclear how the existence of the new special counsel might impact the negotiations between the DOJ and Pence's team. Time now 4:26, new at 4. The number and rate of abortions dropped in the U.S. even before the Supreme Court decided to overturn Roe v. Wade. The CDC says the abortion rate dropped 2% in 2020. The findings were based on data from all 50 states. More than 80% of the terminated pregnancies were performed at or before 9 weeks. More than 93% were done at or before 13 weeks. We're working on lots of new stories you'll see next at 4:30. Abortions banned in Georgia. The action today that ends most abortions for our neighbors to the east. Next, the growing number of flu cases among children. A look at the care parents need to be ready to provide for sick kids.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. Wave 31 News at 4:30 starts now.
We're tracking a changing Thanksgiving forecast, the rain holding off, and how it could impact Black Friday shoppers. Raging flu cases across the country, more children getting sick. We're on top of the latest CDC numbers and a look at what parents can do with sick kids at home. Memorials are growing this evening outside of Walmart after the arrest of a store employee for killing 6 co-workers. The new information we're getting about that Walmart employee and the killings in a store full of holiday shoppers. Plus, we're learning more about a Colorado man charged in that mass murder at a gay nightclub. What happened in his first appearance before a judge. Well, good afternoon. I'm Marie Waxel. This is Way 31 News at 4:30. Dan Schaefer has the evening off. We want to get you started this half hour with the updated Thanksgiving forecast. Way 31 Storm Tracker meteorologist Olga Breeze is here. And Olga, we now won't be seeing rain until after that Thanksgiving feast tomorrow.
That's exactly right. The pressure is always on in the weather department when we have a holiday forecast to tell you about. And this year, I think you're going to like the way things play out for Thursday. Right now, we're still fairly mild. We're in that stretch, at least for the next couple of days, where our temperatures are running slightly above average. Check out all these 60s behind me on our Way 31 Sky Camera Network. 63 for Gunnersville, 67 out toward Huntsville, 65 Muscle Shoals, and a lot of blue sky to boot. So temperatures will stay mild right until about that sunset hour. Then once the sun sinks, we will definitely see some plummeting temperatures into the overnight. But in all, I think it's a great evening. If you have anything you need to take care of this afternoon, good conditions, dry conditions, even sunglasses might be appropriate for the next couple of hours. Then we're quiet on our early warning radar network, but things are going to be changing. There's a front out toward our west, already kicking up some clouds and storms through Oklahoma into Arkansas, now moving into Tennessee and in toward Mississippi. It's coming in our direction, but it's holding off for a while. So tonight will be not as cold as what we've seen. We're also going to see the opportunity for some rain on Thanksgiving Day, but it holds out till late in the day. But Thanksgiving night and Friday could be a bit wet and sloppy. I'll be back to time it all out for you in just a couple of minutes.
And you can use our Way 31 Storm Tracker weather app to monitor conditions if you're traveling for Thanksgiving. Just download that app to your smartphone. You can use that QR code you see there at the bottom center of your screen. Best of all, it is free to download for your Apple and Android devices. We're dealing with an intense flu season as we head into this Thanksgiving weekend. The latest numbers from the CDC show respiratory illnesses are behind about 6% of doctors' visits. Already, the flu is taking a toll on young children. The CDC confirms 7 pediatric deaths so far this flu season.
It's been a couple of years since we've really seen our kids significantly ill.
If your child is severely sick, having any distress, difficulty breathing, change in color, significant difference in energy level, seek immediate medical care. If not,
then it probably is best if you stay home. And unfortunately, we may not have a lot more to offer.
Pediatrician Andrea Sines says caring for a sick child at home begins with over-the-counter medicine. If your child's old enough, fever-reducing over-the-counter medicine can help.
Fevers in and of themselves are not a reason to come into the emergency room unless they're persisting for a long time, more than 4 or 5 days.
When it comes to flu, the CDC says the cumulative hospitalization rate nationwide hasn't been this high at this point in the season in more than a decade. That the rate for RSV about 10 times higher than typical for this time of year. But for kids who don't need hospitalization, Sines says there are other ways to care for a sick child.
Children over 1 can have a spoonful of honey to help with coughing fits. Lots of hydration that thins out the mucus and helps. Lots of rest. Kind of your old-fashioned remedies at home.
Now we're seeing flu raging with COVID still hanging around. More than 23,000 people were admitted to hospitals across the country with COVID in the past week. The Huntsville hospital system is currently treating 47 patients. 3 of them are in ICU. We're getting new information on a Valley Head woman's drug arrest that led to 2 foreign exchange students being removed from her home. Court records show Catherine Finley was caught with Delta 9. She was arrested last week for unlawful possession of a controlled substance, as well as contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Her preliminary hearing is set for February. The 2 exchange students were moved to safety out of state. A Lauderdale County grand jury indicted a Killen man for child porn. Kevin Gary Davis faces charges in a 42-count indictment just made public. Court records show his arraignment hearing is set for January 19th. 2 people in North Alabama face charges now for causing false alarms in public. This is a photo Morgan County Sheriff's investigators posted after a bomb threat. Right now, the accused caller is in custody after phoning in a bomb threat to the Dollar General in Priceville. Investigators have not released the suspect's name. Florence police arrested a man for pulling multiple fire alarms at an apartment complex. Jason Rano is charged with rendering a false alarm. He also faces separate assault charges in a Lauderdale County Sheriff's Office case. Time now 4:36. New information now on a Colorado mass murder suspect's first court appearance. Anderson Ulrich is accused of going on a rampage at Club Q in Colorado Springs over the weekend. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen, kind of underneath that super, if we could drop that for just a second, Ulrich is in yellow right there at the bottom of your screen, and he appears to be in a wheelchair. He was lethargic during the brief hearing. The judge ordered him held without bond for killing 5 people in that weekend rampage. We're seeing more memorials to those 5 murder victims. The so-called Sacred Cloth Pride flag was unfurled at Colorado Springs City Hall today. It's a section of the original 1.25 mile long flag created to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the first Pride flag. This ceremonial flag was also displayed after the 2016 Pulse nightclub massacre in Orlando, Florida. Memorials are also growing outside the scene of a second mass murder in America. This is a look at balloons waving in the wind and flags outside the Chesapeake, Virginia Walmart. This evening, new information on the killer. Walmart says a man employed with the company for the last 12 years opened fire inside a break room. He killed 6 people before taking his own life. Chris Wynn shows us the outpouring of grief over this latest deadly shooting.
Just ahead of Thanksgiving,
our hearts are just completely broken this morning yet again.
Another mass shooting in America.
We have had 2 horrific acts of violence in the Commonwealth of Virginia in 2 weeks.
A gunman opening fire in a Chesapeake, Virginia Walmart just before the store closed Tuesday night. An employee detailing the harrowing experience on social media.
Just left out the break room, come in there, started capping people up in there, started shooting, bro. Like, I'm whole though, y'all. Sadly though, we lost a few of our associates.
At least 6 people are dead and at least 4 remain hospitalized Wednesday.
I can say that 2 of them remain in the intensive care unit in critical condition.
The shooter has been identified as 31-year-old Andre Bing, a team lead on the overnight shift at the store. Officials believe he acted alone before taking his own life, and police say there is no further threat to the community.
The investigation's still ongoing, and we'll be processing that scene for days.
In a statement, Walmart said, "We're working closely with law enforcement, and we are focused on supporting our associates." In their grief, calls for solutions from the Chesapeake community.
For all the people who are saying that their hearts and prayers go out to these people, I don't want to hear any more about that until they get serious about gun violence prevention.
Chris Wynn, Way 31 News.
The Gun Violence Archive classifies a mass shooting as being 4 or more people who have been shot. The Georgia Supreme Court reinstated an abortion ban today. The action by Georgia's court means a 6-week abortion ban is back in effect. A lower court ruling last week in Georgia had put the state's heartbeat bill on hold, calling it unconstitutional. 7 of the 9 Georgia Supreme Court justices agreed to put the ban into effect. Getting you ready for the holidays, our look ahead to some special traditions as millions of Americans are hitting the road.
Hello, mic check, mic check.
Time now 4:43. A new era begins tonight for Alabama A&M University. The Bulldogs tip off their first basketball game in the new event center. Look at that beauty right there. Fans will watch Alabama A&M take on Louisiana Tech in the 6,000-seat state-of-the-art center. This game follows 50 years in Elmore Gymnasium, which saw its last game on November 17th. Well, lots of those fans may be in town visiting family for the Thanksgiving holiday. Highways and flights have been filled with holiday travelers this week. ABC's Derek Dennis has the latest.
From Chicago to New York to Southern California.
I haven't been to LAX in a long time, so I have no idea what I'm walking into.
About 5 million people are traveling by air this Thanksgiving week, despite ticket prices soaring 43% higher than last year. ABC News going inside the United Airlines Command Center, where they're tracking every flight.
This is the brain trust of the airline that runs the operation.
But the trip has not been without incident in some places. At Chicago's Midway Airport, a military plane carrying a member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff hit a flock of birds.
We're going to be coming back. We just took a bunch of birds on takeoff.
No one was injured in the incident, but the roads just as packed. AAA says nearly 49 million people will be driving for Thanksgiving this year. That's up slightly from last year and close to 2019 levels before the pandemic. Today, said to be the busiest day to drive.
In fact, it's going to be up about 43% higher than normal traffic on Wednesday.
Lower gas prices are helping. The national average for a gallon of regular now just under $3.61, down nearly 3 cents from yesterday and 13 cents from a week ago, but still more than 20 cents higher than last year. As for the airlines, Joe Hines with United is staying positive, telling ABC's Gio Benitez the days of mass cancellations and delays from staffing shortages and severe weather this summer are over.
Were there lessons learned during that time?
Well, certainly the biggest lessons learned were around resources. We did learn that you cannot overschedule your crews and you cannot overschedule your airplanes.
Derek Dennis, ABC News, New York.
Many travelers are seeing signs of the holidays everywhere. This is one of my favorite looks. This is a look at New York, where crews started inflating balloons. Those giant balloons will be on display tomorrow for the annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Time now 4:46, and Way 31 meteorologist Grace Anello joins us now to explain the technology we use to deliver the most accurate forecasts for the holiday ahead and, of course, every other day. Grace, break it down for us.
Yes, Marie, well, it's called a Doppler radar, and Doppler is the man, that's his last name, and this is what they look like. Here at Way 31, we have 3 of them. Now, Doppler radars use something called dual polarity, or dual pole, which means we send out a vertical pulse, this way, and a horizontal pulse at the exact same time. Now, this is important because it allows us to differentiate between flocks of birds, trees, and then storms. Now, those signals are sent to clouds and to storms, and all of that matter reflects, and it reflects that signal back towards the radar. Well, depending on the amount of signal that is reflected back to the radar and depending on its location is how our radar unit populates the map. And this is where it shows us where everything is sitting. And that's called echolocation, similar to that that's used of bats and even beluga whales. This gives us our location, but also our strength of precipitation. So in summation, dual polarity is when a radar sends out a vertical and a horizontal pulse at the exact same time. The Doppler radar waits for those pulses to be reflected off of storms and rain clouds and sent back to the radar unit. And lastly, we use echolocation to tell us where our rain and storms should be on a map and exactly how strong they are. Hey, if you have an Anello Answers It question, email it to me at gnello@waytv.com because I would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you, Grace. Let's check in now with Way 31 meteorologist Olga Breeze. She's in our Storm Tracker Weather Center using that same technology to give us the latest look at what we can expect now from Mother Nature for the rest of the week. Olga?
That's right, Marie, and we are looking good as we head into the holiday. Today was that Getaway Wednesday. A lot of folks are in transit or just now arriving at their destination this afternoon and evening, and we had a pretty good go of it today. Mild temperatures, a lot of sunshine, a few clouds filtering in right now, but check out the current temperatures still in the 60s. That'll last for about an hour, and then we're going to start to see these temperatures drop into the 50s for much of the evening. Plenty of blue skies over toward Muscle Shoals. Temperatures will be on the cool side later tonight, but the air stays dry. Winds will be fairly light out of the east, and not too much to talk about through most of Thanksgiving Day, but I am tracking some changes, bringing some rain to the forecast for Thursday night and for Friday. So right now we're down to 59 in Athens. So you can see the drop beginning to happen. Coleman down to 59, 57 out toward Gadsden, also another 59 for Scottsboro. So the sun is sinking on the horizon, and it's going to be a little bit chilly tonight. Tonight will be cold, but not quite as cold as what we've seen over the last couple of nights. We will keep the forecast dry for most of Thanksgiving Day. However, as that rain approaches from west to east, the rain will develop very late in the evening. Many of us might not see that rain until overnight. So Thursday night, the rain arrives, and we'll definitely see the opportunity for a little action here on our Way 31 early warning radar network. Quiet right now, but you can see the rain from the front off toward our west. We will see rain chances begin to increase. While Thursday's chance is about 20%, Friday's 20% as well, but more scattered showers I think on Friday are possible. Rain does linger into Saturday, so the weekend's not a washout, but we'll see the opportunity for that as we move on through. Rainfall forecast looking pretty good, about 2 to 4 inches on average, but all of this depends on that location. Location will be the key with some locally heavy downpours. Let's talk about timing. 7 o'clock as you're heading for that second helping of dessert. We're still pretty dry for most of our counties. Rain starts to move in. By 11 o'clock, I think all of us will see a bit of this rain. It does go into the early morning hours of Friday, so if you're headed out to do some of that Black Friday shopping, you will see rain in the morning, but by mid-morning and late morning, things will start to clear out, and we'll see the opportunity for overcast skies for sure, but at least we will dry out. For Turkey Day, let's break it down. down for most of us in the region. We'll see mainly a break of cloud cover until about 4 or 5 o'clock, and that's when the rain begins for some of us and the clouds fill in. 7-day forecast stays mild, not only Friday and Saturday in the lower 60s, but by the time we get to Sunday, we still have some sunshine, but temperatures start to moderate right around average. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Now to a story of giving. Organ donations can be the gift of life. And right now in Alabama, nearly 1,300 people are waiting for an organ transplant. Marcus Solis shows us the difference organ donors made for families this Thanksgiving.
To the Bronx, two families now linked by the heart beating in Miriam Niebez's chest, a heart donated by Brittany Newton's family.
I'm full of thanks and I'm full of gratitude that God's giving me several, but this is the big one. This was my life saving, so thank you.
Miriam, who's 62, contracted HIV during years of substance abuse. She's been clean for the last 3 decades, but her kidneys began to fail and doctors at Montefiore Health System contemplated a transplant. But they determined her heart wouldn't survive the surgery, so she was placed on a list for both organs.
We felt if we did this would put her into a category of her own. She wouldn't be competing with anybody else in the whole country.
In 2013, the HOPE Act allowed HIV-positive patients to donate their organs to other HIV-positive recipients. Still, a successful heart transplant had never been performed before.
HIV patients, by their nature, are immunosuppressed. And what do you do when you give someone a transplant? You have to immunosuppress them. And here comes the difficulty and the challenges of caring for these people long term.
Miriam underwent heart and kidney transplant surgery in April after Brittany, an aspiring nurse who is also HIV positive, was identified as a match. Which brings us to this first face-to-face meeting, complete with Brittany's mother and sisters listening to Miriam's new, yet familiar heartbeat.
It came at the right time. I hate the way that it came, but it came at the right time, boy. My child's still walking around. And for that, I'll forever be grateful. Believe that.
A medical first celebrated during a time of thanks.
And I have to tell you that this is the best gift that as a family we could have asked for. And you all have done so with graciousness, and we're forever grateful.
Well, make sure you tune in to Way 31 News at 6 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day. We'll introduce you to a Marshall County school librarian who needed a life-saving transplant. A former student wanted to help, but couldn't, at least not in the way she thought. Later, you'll see the plot twist that saved not one, but 2 lives. Coming up next at 5, we're talking chicken as lots of you prepare for a turkey feast. All new at 5, what you can expect from your next grocery store trip to pick up some of the chicken.
Baby Matt. Mic check 1, 2, 3.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And yes, I have a light. What time do I hit? I'll turn it on when I need to. Thank you.
You're watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. Way 31 News at 5 starts now.